protests and want leaders to quit. The hundreds of the thousands will straight in march against our traditions, bill and call it for the chief executive to go. The Hong Kong hundreds of the thousands of protesters have marched on Sunday in the protest in the government and controversial bill. Despite the victory and leaders carry lamps showing the protests identified of the day early. The groups filled the Hong Kong's and Victoria's and parks on Sunday afternoon. They filled in all in order to June to wait for to turn to embark of the almost 4 kilometers to their immediately down the business district. The protesters were likely and frustrated with the way of the government and lame to the executives and hands to the bill. The land and promised to the way of the consult the public about the bill before making any attempt to resolve it. The protesters again is saying they have a fight and demand to have the bill and drop only and to the release protest and arrest on the Wednesday during and follow the class with the police and withdraw the characteristic of the Wednesday protester as the rioters for the police who used the violence to be held and uncomfortable for the lamb to step down. The vehicle honks and they honk in support to the first group likely black shirt and peaceful the complete of march at the city and central. The government official and CGO complex turn of the thousand had waited and patiently for the 4 hours and for hours under the blue sky and baking hot sun as they grew and soft slow out of the staking venue. The city's sunways system was and not with the crews and still look to get to the start hour after and the first march and had depart. At the end of the route and many stopped by the makeshift and memorial and for the protesters and son named Luong and who fell to his death on the Sunday while hanging the protest banner outside of the shopping center not 500 meters from the CGO complex. The marchers were and wise robed and carry white flowers of his memory. The protesters also paid their respect to the local fire next to so-called Lebanon Wall. Released from the 2014 and Occupy and protested while thousands of the message of the whole for solidarity had been left on the colorful the post in note along the stairwell on the side of the government and building. And almost 5 years later, new notes for the encouragements about the current protest have appeared with the city again and police critical about the first. And Lam had the complex for the stunning and turn around on the Saturday and announcing that unpopular legislation called for the forgiveness and for the fugitive offenders and natural legal assistance to criminal matters to legislation amendments and the amendment bill would all the more mobile for the indefinite period of time. At the statement came for the day after had vowed to the push hit to ratify of the bill and despite harsh and public opposition. Those marchings on Sunday however were and skeptical of the move and calling it and stelling ploy the protest again of the Donnie Luong told the journalists that it was the tactics by the Hong Kong government to relieve the pressure on a battle chief executive. A former legislator of for pro-democrat activity late Chief Yuan assures that the bill could be revised anytime Carrie Lam's wants and the protesters. About 32 old men plan to ask to identify only the English name Kit told Al Al Jazeera. Obviously, it was not happy with the Carrie Lam and decision, and that's why we would be named. We would be here. The protesters range in age of the school children to retire. A 14 years old student who asked to be named by only her English name and her Mian, and said the Hong Kong's autonomy is threatened by the law. Hong Kong, the Hong Kong has one the country two system, and she said, and refers to the distinct set of the laws that territory enjoy. Of the extradition law exists, there's no advice anymore. The Hong Konger have already lost confidence in China. Hong Kong and people are wary of China. Wary of China. Controversial laws and critics accuse that if X in the bill and would X and restore freedom and enjoyed by those living of the territories under the independence of the Hong Kong's legal system, the putting criticism and the foreign nations at risk. It will be allow the government to send animals accused for the carries and for the serious crime across the border to the mainland and China. China was injustice. The justice system is the why the pursuit of opaque, opaque, and political motivate in reportedly has the convict was and nearing 100%. Opposition to the legislations and was so great legitimate of the militaries of the mainland people demonstrated again on May 9. The contentious bill with the scheduled for the debate for Wednesday, but mass protesters around outside of the city legislatures could cancel complex left and legislation under and to the inner of the bill and the reach of the council. Those demonstrate and turn violent with the police in riot gear, talking on the protesters and tear gas. They prepare sprays, spray water cannons and the baton on one of the worst incidents of the violence and see in the territory and seen in the return to the China's sovereignty. Several people and was injured in the clash with some of the protesters and report arrests in the hospital by the police after demonstrate and were square. While the territory is part of China and follows its return to the British rule in 1997, it enjoys high and degree of the autonomy from the Beijing and saying to the agreement and signed by the outgoing the British administration and the Chinese government. Article 4 of the Basic Laws and the Factors the Constitution, which form a basic of the Hong Kong's autonomy and promise to the safeguards of rights and freedom of the resident of the Hong Kong and special administrative region and debtors and person of the region of the equivalent with the law. A part of the authorities came in the home and form of the Hong Kong's and independence in judiciary, which is the critics of the proposed change action. Would be in order of if the Beijing had a right to request that those actions of the crimes in the mental lands be turned over. Beijing insists Beijing insists it and not instrumental in the form of the British territory decision try to change the laws, but only in the week of to indicate that the support of amendment. The supporter amendment. Support amendment. Okay, thank you,